there's a small number of people on the call, but if any more join, they can just catch up as they come on. So I think I'll be able to get this going. Well, I really appreciate those of you who have joined. We had an advisory board last year, and we invited everybody that attended. And so we hope for a good turnout. And what I'll do is walk through these slides that just talks about the 2021 annual plan and the 2021 proposed capital fund program budget. And then at the end of the slides, I'll open it up for questions, and I'll do my best to answer. I also have my colleague Matt Mercer on the call. He's the program manager for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, so he will be able to answer calls or your questions for that. This will also be recorded. I know that I had one person reach out to me that wanted it in Swahili. We were not able to do that live, but we will take care of that and get a, thank you. Appreciate your help. We'll get those translation out to them. If anybody else needs a translation service, please give us a call. You received a letter, and there's instructions in the letter on how to reach out to us for translation. Okay. As background, public housing authorities are required to do an annual plan and an annual update to their public housing capital fund program grant. Currently, the Wichita Housing Authority has 578 units of public housing and 3,037 housing choice vouchers. We have the housing choice voucher jurisdiction includes all of Sedgwick County, Butler County, and Harvey County, with the exception of the city of Newton. The annual agency plan documents include methods of rent determination, general operating policies, procedures, and a statement of capital improvements. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, requires public housing authorities to get input from their residents. It's always good business to hear from our stakeholders. The capital fund annual budget is based on what we received last year, a grant of $1,470,462. Staff proposed to use the upcoming grant for public housing operations, fees and costs, single family unit rehabilitation or demolition and temporary relocation costs if the housing authority maintains a RAD component. RAD is the Rental Assistance Demonstration Project, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. In our capital fund, like I said, we received $1,400,000. HUD will allow 25% of that to be transferred to public housing operations, 10% for administration, fees and costs for things like architectural fees, legal fees, etc. Rehab and demolition, we just split the difference, approximately $430,000 for rehab, demo, or disposition, which means sell, or temporary relocation if it's needed. Some of our accomplishments from last year is we have a program with VASH. It's housing veterans, homeless veterans, and that number has remained static because the VA is not requesting any more vouchers at this time. We have the Housing Choice Voucher Program is still rated as a high performer, and public housing is rated as standard. We promote self-sufficiency among all residents in our housing authority, and in the Housing Choice Voucher Program, they have a family self-sufficiency program that currently has 127 participants, and 7 of those are scheduled to graduate in 2020, and 2 are ready for home ownership. We have an individual and family development program that helps people save money and become financially self-sufficient. And out of the Housing Choice Voucher Program, there's 63% participants and 42 families in the public housing program. One of our really kind of our banner programs is the Way to Work. It's been a part of us for several years, and it's just where we train youth age 14 through 17 that are primarily their parents or guardians are part of our housing authority. We give them age-appropriate jobs for 20 hours out of every week for 6 weeks, and they can earn some money and really learn what it's like to be in the workforce. It's a great program. We've had some really good success, and so it's ongoing. Some of our goals for 2021 are to intentionally advocate and market for fair housing. That's just part of our life as part of, the Wichita Housing Authority and every affordable housing program in our department. But it's something that we really need to be conscious of and work steadily toward. We're going to increase our Housing Choice Voucher utilization. Right now, the Section 8 program is accepting applications. People can access that from our website. We're going to strengthen families through the self-sufficiency program and part-time employment specialists. We're just going to broaden that program. We're going to use the Way to Work program to develop job skills and opportunities for youth ages 14 through 17. We have, in some circumstances, companies ask for particular youth they've had in the past because they're really hard workers, they're dependable, and those are really the hallmarks of a good employee. So I know at least one youth is, as soon as they finish the Way to Work program this summer, are going to be hired full-time. So that's pretty exciting for us. And then we're going to transition our multifamily properties to the RAD program, the Rental Assistance Demonstration. That program was authorized by Congress in 2012. And it's just that for the longest time, public housing has suffered because it's never had enough money to really be maintained as well as it should. It's been underfunded by Congress. So, and we've never been able to borrow money. So they've implemented that program. Wichita Housing Authority was approved by HUD our board, the Wichita Housing Authority Board, approved it in 2017. HUD approved our application in October of 2017. We hired a consultant in October of 2017. And in March of 2018, we hired a developer, Keith B. Key Enterprises, and we've been working hard ever since. The plan was to divide right now we have 4 amps for public housing, 226 units in 4 elderly designated properties, Greenway Manor, McLean Manor, Rosa Gregg, and Bernice Hutcherson, into one project, which is called the RAD Senior Project. The remaining 352 scattered site single family homes was going to be in a separate project. We're going to seek non-competitive 4% tax credits and some HUD financing and convert to a project-based rental assistance contract as it provided higher rent capacity and annual operating costs. Multifamily units will convert to RAD in December of this year. Rosa Gregg and Bernice Hutcherson will be rehabilitated first. Residents will move temporarily to Greenway Manor, which is a high rise, during rehab, and then move back home. McLean Manor and Greenway Manor residents will move temporarily to other rental units during the rehabilitation, then move back to their apartments when finished. The project pays for moving costs. The Wichita, the RAD project was a little bit different. As you can see from this map, there was 352 single-family homes scattered throughout the city of Wichita. Yellow pins were portfolio number 3, and the targets were asset portfolio number 4. We had these costs were going to all be part of the project, so a total cost of $37 million. And there was different financing sources. The seller note for the Wichita Housing Authority was the value of the properties and the financing that we were going to loan to the project. We had this scope of work for all the properties, which would be pretty much turn them into really nice properties, renew them. But in February 2019, it was determined, according to this regulation, 24 CFR, which means Code of Federal Regulations, 200.73, 146 units of the scattered sites were too scattered for FHA HUD financing. In March of 2019, a waiver request to bypass that reg was submitted to the HUD Fort Worth field office, but that was denied in April. After denial, KBK proposed to restructure the single-family projects into two groups, one with the 206 units that did qualify for financing, and the other that did not, that were too scattered. In June, Bank of America withdrew its letter of intent, which left the project with no equity partner, which means, a great influx of finance. So for the next 6 months, we looked for another investor, approached all of these groups, but did not find any. Tax credits and bond expired at the end of last year, and so Wichita Housing Authority did not have any financing for the single-family properties. HUD confirmed to us later that RAD projects for scattered site, they had some groups that did close, but none as large as ours. I'd go through these, but this was on the handout or the PowerPoint that we included in the invitation letter, so you've read this. Some repositioning options are that the Public Housing Authority will apply to HUD to demolish or dispose of any number of units and request to transfer the rental subsidy to a newly constructed property or properties. Sell the properties at market value with current occupants having the first right to purchase. And the PJ, there's some conditions that we have to prove to HUD in order to get this done. There's also a proper, section 222 means that you can sell dispose of some properties if you have fewer than 250 units of public housing. So that's another option that we might take. And we might take another option called Section 32, that is a home ownership opportunity. So the next steps are WHA's planned to includes multiple repositioning strategies that I just talked about. We'll apply to HUD to demolish or sell all of the properties. We'll provide residents with permanent relocation through the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and the assistance of the relocation coordinator, R.H. Brown and Associates. We have contact information, of course, for R.H. Brown that we will get to the residents. And this is not the last meeting on this. We'll have several more meetings on the single-family properties. WHA will provide project-based vouchers for single-family units when the developers want to maintain them as affordable rental units. That's something that we'll have an RFP out, and they'll have to meet several standards to get that done. So with new affordable rental housing, we propose to develop new multifamily replacement rental housing in 40 to 60 unit properties, probably leaning more towards the 60. 1 or 2 bedrooms. Possible financing includes these things. We have home programs, CDBG, there's Federal Home Loan Bank, HUD loans. There's a variety of mechanisms. Our schedule for the annual plan is we're having the review, the Resident Advisory Board meeting today. This will be a 45-day comment period on Monday running through September 30th. We'll have a public hearing with the Wichita Housing Authority Board, which is the City Council, on October the 6th. That's a virtual meeting as well. People who want to speak to that go to Century 2. And then we'll submit it to HUD about the second week of October. Now's the time for questions, if I can figure it out. All right, so if you have any questions, unmute your microphones, or if you're on a phone call, do *6. There's really no, I don't see any like hands raising up here or anything. So.
Brad, this
Yes.
is Nancy, and I have a question. With the single family housing, will that be a reduction in units that we have, or will it remain equal if you demolish and rebuild?
Would it be, I'm sorry, you were fairly clear, but.
The number of housing units.
The number of housing units? Yeah, it'll be a reduction. We will be completely out of a public housing business. We'll still, you know, when we convert to RAD, the Wichita Housing Authority will be one of the controlling partners, but it'll be a different entity. But if it may be that we not save, but maybe not all the single family properties will sell. And so it may be that we maintain some of those units as a smaller RAD conversion or any number of other mechanisms.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Will you still have the Section 8 program, or y'all not going to have the Section 8 program no more?
Could you repeat that for me, please?
Are y'all still having the Section 8 program, or y'all not going to have that no more?
Matt, did you hear?
Yeah, I heard it.
Hello?
Right. Yeah, the Section 8 program will continue. The Section 8 program is not part of the RAD project. So Section 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll stay the same.
It'll stay the same. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, for those of you who are on the call, do you approve of this in general? The documents will be posted on the housing website. A PHA plan will be there as soon as I record any comments that were made today. And I said, this call is being recorded. So it's out there for your information. So in general, there's really not a lot of change happening to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, other than really beefing up the utilization. Matt, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just remind everybody that we are accepting applications right now for the Section 8 program. We have sent out, we're sending out formal application packets all this month, so we'll send out 1,200 formal application packets this month, and hopefully that will get us back up close to our full allocation. But we do have openings now, and we're putting people on the program at the moment.
Okay. Nancy or Mr. Lynn or Ms. Lynn, do you have any comments, more comments?
Well, I'm still puzzling over the single family housing in that, do we not run that at full capacity typically as it is now?
You know, I'm just not hearing, I can hear you, but I just can't quite hear you.
Okay, let me try again. With
Don't-
single, oh, what?
Well, I was just going to say, don't go real loud because, I mean,
Right,
yeah.
I'll try to
Hearing
slow down.
sensitive are challenging. So.
With the single family housing, do we run at full capacity currently?
I can almost get that, but there's something that's not current. What was right before currently?
Hey, Brad, I'm on.
Someone's gonna help out. Thank you.
Brad, did you want me to take that?
Go ahead and answer the question, Sally.
Okay.
Sally Stack, our department director.
Hi, Nancy, how are you? The single families, they're in significant need of rehabilitation. They are not currently operating at full capacity because since we submitted the RAD application, we have been prohibited from releasing those units. We're looking at $40,000 to $60,000 is needed on each one of those units. And they only assess at this time at about $30,000. So that's part of our conundrum, is they need such extensive rehabilitation that we can't secure the funding as a single project. It's way more than any bank or investor is willing to do. So the idea to partner with our nonprofit developers is they'll take pieces of it. So we may have 10 different developers that take some of the units. And because they're in smaller groupings, they'll be able to invest and do the repairs that are needed. And then per your question before, we are looking to then do one-for-one replacement of those units, but in multi-family complexes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Didn't mean to barge in on you, Brad, but it looked like—
I'm glad you did. We're having, my mic was just moved to a different speaker, so I think I can hear better now.
Okay.
I have a technical assistant in here too. Tyler's helping me out.
I have no more questions.
That's a shame because I can really hear you now.
I'll think of some.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you attending. And like I say, the documents will be on our website. If you have any other comments, you can send it to us by email at wha@wichita.gov, or you can mail them to us. through September 30th, or you can come to the city council meeting on October the 6th. Thank you.
I actually have one more question.
That's good.
It have to do with the plan. I saw that the city is looking at cutting you guys out of the budget. How does that affect the 5-year plan, or does it?
That's going to have to be a Sally question.
That's what I thought.
No problem. Yeah, so the city cut some administrative funding that they had been providing previously to our department due to the budget crisis that's happening related to COVID. And there was very little of that was hitting the public housing programs. So we're not seeing that that's going to have a significant impact because, in addition, we received some additional funding from HUD under the CARES Act, which is going to offset that a bit. So
Okay.
we should see a reduction in service to our clients or our participants.
I was just real concerned that they went down to 0.
It was,
Shock.
a little bit challenging. The fact that we had received the additional funding from HUD is what makes that possible. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening, and have a great afternoon. Goodbye.
You too, Brad.